Like, make me a pizza with the scale. Let me see what you're doing there, because I think it's too much cheese. Give me a handful of mozzarella. What do you think? Do you think that's 90 grams? But you have to have that as a base. You have to know what your goals are. I mean, anything you can measure, you can improve on. It's all data. You have to know. But there's an art form to it, because it's not, a restaurant is more than spreadsheets. It's one of the most ephemeral human businesses. There's emotion attached to it. Just when you walk into a place, how you feel. There are also people who are just super successful and don't do that. The way I look at it is my influences are the restaurants I've worked in, the chefs I've worked for, and then there's the home cooking. It's like a little cliche, but it's like, grandma's cooking. My great grandmother never measured anything. She just did it by touch and feel. And I think that's, you can do that and you can be successful. That's also someone who spent their lifetime cooking for people.
The following podcast is a Pie to Pie production.
Every slice tells a story.
Flat iron pepper. When you pop these peppers, you are gonna know. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can taste it. They are liberating pizzerias from low quality pepper flakes. Stop finishing your pizza with crap. Head to flatironpepper.com and join the pepper flake revolution. This episode is brought to you by Maestro Sausage, the only sausage we use at Hot Tongue. They produce sausages specifically with pizzerias in mind, and you can tell. So if your sausage isn't hitting all the right notes, let Maestro lead the way. Ovation, how great restaurants get better. Frictionless feedback, operational insights, real-time guest recovery, text marketing, and call to text. Click the link in the show notes. Schedule a demo today. Was that a pop-up that you were doing with the whole family?
It was the Forno Piombo 10-year anniversary party. They make great ovens. It's how I met Tommy, actually, who I also love.
Yeah.
It looks like he hit a home run. Hey, see what I did there?
You went and saw the shop.
Yeah, I did.
You did a pop-up with him.
I did.
Was that like COVID time?
It was a little after COVID times, yeah.
Because Tommy told me
it was still pretty sketchy. People protested, all that stuff.
Yeah, it got pretty wild. Because you did a class or something, and Tommy went to it.
Yeah, in Napa, he went to it when he was still kind of just starting the pop-up thing, and then he got the space on Silver Lake, and I was like, dude, let's do a pop-up. And, it was my book came out, the book came out, and we were like, okay, looking at the release date, and it's like a year from the actual pandemic. So we're like, this is great. We'll do a book party. It was like people were not feeling like real life parties. So it was.
Was that a bummer to put out your book during that time?
Yeah, it was a mega bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bummer. But
was it received well? I mean, it's like one of the best stylized book there is. For pizza.
Thank you.
You're sitting on the famous couch. I talk about the pictures all the time.
Really?
With all the fucking Lloyd pans. Yeah. I think a lot of stuff that you do is pretty cool.
Thank you.
Like
I
all the
appreciate
drawings
that.
and stuff.
Thanks.
So
I should pull out the archival, first generation Roberta's shirts that I have stored away. Get you one of those.
Did you do all the art for those?
I did a bunch in the early days, but then me and Brandon basically curated everything. So we found the artists. Our whole shtick was to find tattoo artists or people who weren't t-shirt designers and have them do the designs. But I did a lot of the first ones, and we would screen print them ourselves in the warehouse.
Well, you've done them You've done them for Prime. Did you do a Pizza Bruno one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. The Grateful Dead.
Uh-huh.
That one's in the original art's in there.
Bruno is a very cool guy.
Yeah, very nice guy.
We were talking about with Frank how Roberta's is kind of you can find a Roberta's everywhere in the United States.
Yeah. In the world.
Yeah.
In the world.
In the world now. Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That big warehouse, looking the wood fire oven, people wearing tattoos.
Yep, it was definitely a fountainhead, I mean, Frank, I did a lot of stuff with Frank too when he first opened, because that was, it was a Roberta's kind of project.
Well, he said that like people, like crazy chefs were coming down to see this trailer that was like they'd never seen before. And I didn't realize it was like that big of a deal back then, because like now everyone has a fucking pizza trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But is that something that you actually built, or did you buy that?
The first one we built.
Yeah.
And it was like totally unsafe and not like road safe.
Yeah.
So it was cut off of the trailer and then put in the backyard. That's the one that's in the backyard now.
Yeah.
For like weddings and stuff. And then I bought one from a oven trailer maker in Colorado, which is, it shows how different the pizza like pop-up world has become, that like, you know, I had to borrow like $30,000 to buy that. And, you know, right, if you want to do the same thing, you could just get like 3 Gosneys for $1,500 or $22,000 or whatever it takes, and pump out the same amount of pizzas.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a real full-on wood-fired oven on a trailer. It was fucking awesome. I cooked a lot of pizza outside.
It is crazy to think about. I know, like, we won't spend too much time on Roberta's, but I still think it's like one of the amount of people that worked there that went on to do other things, and then the people who have worked with those people to go do other things, like people that have worked with Frank to open up other things, people that you know that you've helped go on to open other things. Why do you think that like it was and maybe is the most important pizza restaurant in like maybe the last 20 years?
Whew. I mean, it was like a convergence of a lot of things. You know, I think that one, this idea of kind of pizza as a framework to deliver like high quality ingredients, seasonal ingredients, you know, using a lot of American domestic small producers instead of like everything's imported, everything's like, you know, from some big company somewhere. It's like, just use whatever you want to make pizza. Bushwick in itself just was a phenomenon. You know, I mean, we're in Williamsburg right now. It was like basically people were getting priced out of Williamsburg and started going to Bushwick. And there was a tipping point, you know, that I saw when I was there from the beginning to the first few years where, you know, it was people were getting priced out of the, like when we first moved to New York, we lived in the East Village, people at Lower East Side, people were getting priced out of Manhattan and moving to Brooklyn. There was a point midway, like through the, well, like midway, but it's a long time ago now. But, you know, there's a point in the first couple of years of Roberta's where you started seeing that people who had enough money to live anywhere, like people whose parents were going to, you know, put down the broker's fee and whatever, they could live anywhere in New York City, were choosing to live in Williamsburg and Bushwick.
That was the spot.
It was just, it became a phenomenon. Art, music, culture, it was all. So it was like a hub. And because Roberta's was not just a restaurant, there was like an event space, there's a garden, there was the radio station, there was art, there was music, there was everything. It was a clubhouse, you know, it was more than just a restaurant. And I think that inspired a lot of people to try to, like, you know, I mean, you can open your doors and sell food to people, or like, you know, a lot of us are in this industry because we don't want to just do something that's like seems so much like a job.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like we're not selling insurance. And so it was this idea of a restaurant as a lifestyle in a neighborhood that was a, you know, lifestyle. Yeah. And then I think it was also part of a longer trend of just American, like new American cooking coming into its own, starting like in California with like Shape and and like the idea of like, look, we're going to take this, the soul of Italian cooking, which is like take great ingredients, treat them very simply. But we're going to use what's around us. You know, we're going to use local seasonal ingredients. We're going to use a lot of vegetables, more vegetable forward. You know, it was part of that, like, it represented that trend too. So it kind of transcended pizza. But yeah, I mean, also just great people. There just happened to be a bunch of great people come through there. Some of the best people, you know, I've ever met in my life worked through there. And, I still am friends with a lot of people from there and still work with people from there. And, it was an amazing time.
Yeah. Why the hell do you not have your own pizzeria?
That's a good question.
You've been working in it for so long.
Yeah.
It seems like it would have accidentally happened at this point.
Yeah, you'd seem. Well, first, I guess maybe the first reason I don't have a restaurant is I don't really have, I don't have any, not to say that everyone who has a restaurant has family money, but I have no family money. And I've had to help my family more than, be able to get any money. So I think most small restaurants are started with friends and family money. So that just was something where, I have kids. I've needed to just make money as opposed to plunk down a bunch. And then it's not for lack of trying. I've been trying to start a restaurant, a pizza place for a very long time. I've looked at a lot of places. I've gone down the road, with leases for a long time, but I just didn't want to be in the wrong situation. And then after Roberta's, the consulting stuff just started happening, I am a partner in a restaurant in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So, we have 6 locations. So I go there pretty much every year. I'll be going there next year, early next year. And, after Bras Electrica, it was, people started just reaching out and it became a full-time thing, and it's a pretty good gig. And, I still look at restaurant spaces all the time and I still would love to do it. Ideally now, I the other part of it is I have the ability to pick my terms a little more now. So I really would rather not have, I have the best partner ever, which is my wife, Bex. And so I don't really want any other partners. I'd like to have a really great landlord and a good lease, So that's basically, I'm setting myself up for never opening a restaurant at that point.
Well, they say patience is, virtue. Maybe you wait.
Yeah, hey, look at Pauly G.
Everyone rushes into it.
Yeah.
Wow, look at Pauly G. Dude is old.
He's up there, he could run for president.
He's almost Biden, dude.
But yeah, it's not off the table. It's the vision of it has evolved. That's the other part of it. The pizza that I want to make, is different now, and it's always different. And that's the coolest thing about what I do now is I'm always having a chance to try out new ideas. I don't even know what I would do if I started a pizza restaurant. Would I use a wood oven or an electric oven? Would it be sit down only? Would I
you haven't
slice up?
You haven't conceptualized all that? I imagine there's fucking 500 iterations of an Anthony Falco restaurant.
Oh, there's menus, there's logos, there's names.
Yeah.
I have all that stuff. It's all there on the mood board, the idea board. But it just, like I said, it changes a lot, and I'm just really busy. I'm on the road a lot. When I'm not on the road, I'm working on my clients' projects.
I would imagine that along the steps of the way, throughout this journey, people have approached you to open up a restaurant with them.
Yep.
And you've just made the right decision of saying no.
I think there's a power to saying no.
Of course.
I think that's kind of cliche in the business advice world. The power of no. I'm sure that's a
by
top
Anthony
10.
Falco.
Yeah, exactly.
New book coming out.
And that's been great. I think it's set me up in a position. One of my ideas now, a crazy dream idea I have now, is to do a New York style pizza or American style pizza place in Italy. And I think it would go over great.
I think it would kill.
Yeah. And I went this summer to Milan to kind of vibe it out as a city, because I feel they're a very open culture as far as food. You see a lot of different, it's not just the same, just Italian food. They're into different things. So I think they would you couldn't, if you tried to open a New York style pizza place in Naples, I don't think it would go over so hot.
I just had a friend go to Italy for a wedding. He was there for 2 weeks. He ate a shit ton of pizza, and he said it all sucked.
I love Rome's pizza scene.
He wasn't, well, yeah.
Where was he? Because, I mean, like, Italy, yeah, you can find pizza everywhere in Italy.
Close to Florence.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, that's not pizza land, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's like you can get a taco anywhere in America.
Yes.
Does that mean it's going to be good? Like, no. I'm from Texas. You live in LA.
I'm from Texas. I know tacos.
Yeah,
brother.
well, I mean, you know, that's it's true. There's great freaking tacos in Texas.
Especially breakfast tacos.
Yeah, the breakfast tacos are great. I mean, and now it's like evolved where, I mean, in Austin, they have every kind of like, they have interior taco. Like I just saw the Top Jaw, you know, and the guy went to Austin, he was interviewing Aaron Franklin, and he's like, what's your favorite taco? And he's like, what are you talking about? Corn tortilla, flour tortilla, breakfast taco, interior taco, traditional, new, like, you know.
Yeah.
So like we have that option. I mean, if you go to Italy, yeah, you can get pizza anywhere. You know, you can get pizza in Bolzano. Should you be eating pizza there? No. If you're in Florence, like I was in Florence this summer too.
Yeah.
I ate steak. You know, that's what, or there was porcini season, you know, so there was great porcini pasta or schiacciata sandwiches, which is fucking awesome. But so I think there's great pizza in Italy. I think there is fantastic pizza in Italy. I think Rome is, for me, like awesome. The scene there. Do you follow the Pantera guys?
No.
Dude, it's like the best pizza. The coolest dudes.
Really? Is it Roman style?
Yeah, it's Roman Altaglio.
Altaglio.
Yeah, it's a slice shop.
You know Rob Cervoni?
Yes. I mean, I think I've met him at like Pizza Expo or something. I need to go out to his shop in Long Island.
We talked to him. It was delicious.
Did you go out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love Altaglio. That's what he's doing?
He does. He does that. He has rounds too because people don't understand the square. They're like, oh, I love the Sicilian, this grandma. This deep dish.
Yeah.
In LA, everything in a pan is just called deep dish.
Yeah.
And I've stopped giving a fuck. Yeah, sure. It's deep dish. Listen.
Enjoy that deep dish.
Hot take, what we heard. We heard that Detroit style pizza is the lowest form of pizza.
Wow.
What do you think about that?
Okay. This is the stuff I like to talk about. This is fun. Okay. So I'm really into history, right? Like that is like, if I'm not working on projects, I'm reading history books, I'm researching things, or like, I think the best way to learn about history is to go to that place. Like you can read about Roman history all you want, but until you're there walking in the Pantheon and seeing it, it's like, you can't really wrap your noodle around it.
100%.
So I've had an incredible opportunity to travel all around the world. I've worked in 22 different countries. So the history thing, like my main passion in life is history. And so when I think about pizza, it's always tied to history. So like when I think about, if you go in phases in the world, in the history of pizza, like first there's, tomatoes, they're in Mexico, you know, and countless generations of indigenous farmers to South America and Central America and North America slowly developed it from a tiny little berry to like the modern fruit. And then in the 16th century, you know, it kind of makes its way to Europe and Italy, and it becomes part of the cuisine slowly. So there's no pizza, I think, until you have the tomato, right? So like there's like flatbreads or there's breads.
So we're not going to call what the Greeks or the Egyptians were doing with if you're putting some kind of cheese on a flatbread, isn't that still a pizza? It's a white
this
slice.
Is my reason why, is because if you go to a pizzeria, there are sometimes white pizzas, but there is not a pizzeria that doesn't have tomato. Right? Is there a pizzeria anywhere in the world that doesn't have tomato sauce? No, that's what makes
Probably
it.
not.
That's what makes it pizza. Otherwise, it's just. I mean, you have lahmacun, you have like all these different. I mean, I worked in Turkey. There's like this whole iteration of like things cooked in dome style wood ovens, that aren't exactly pizza.
Okay.
that have an ancient history that you can never really say who started it when and where, because with pizza, it's a food that existed after the Columbian Exchange. So there's the period of, post 1492 when ingredients are moving all around the world, and they're getting, you have old world ingredients like wheat coming to the New World. You have New World ingredients like corn and potatoes and tomatoes coming to the Old World. And there's not a cuisine on earth that is not untouched by that process.
Yeah. I just like telling the Orlando food guys that Italians didn't create pizza just to fuck with them.
Yeah, of course.
But I get what you're saying, and I think you're right.
Yeah, there's a book right there on that shelf called Ecological Imperialism, and it's about the Columbian Exchange.
Okay.
It's a great book, and it inspired a couple of other books called 1491 and 1493, which also talk about this concept of how these foods moved around the world and they changed societies. I mean, the introduction to potatoes changed European culture and world history forever. The introduction to sweet potatoes to China changed it forever. There's all kinds of really interesting things that happened after that. And there's no chili peppers in Thailand or India, Yeah. You think, but anyways, pizza. So, because you have an old world base of wheat with a new world ingredient, tomato, it's something you can it's a modern food. It's something you can actually trace the history of. And so Naples is kind of, I think it's undisputed that that's where kind of in that area where something like pizza first starts, right? And so
if your sausage needs aren't hitting all the right notes, then let Maestro lead the way. Maestro has been working closely with pizzerias for decades. They produce sausages designed specifically with pizzerias in mind. And you can tell their Italian sausage crumbles look like they were handmade in your shop, and they will taste that way as well. With over 80 years in business, family owned and operated, the family is incredible, and so is their product. It's quality sausage with quality ingredients. Click the link in the show notes. A classical masterpiece awaits you. Back to the show. What if you could have a direct line to your customers? Since using Ovation, that's exactly what we've had. 10 out of 10. Ovation has been a game changer at Hot Tongue. It has also upped our Google and Yelp reviews by almost 300%. It teams up with our POS, and they send out these surveys after every order from us about their service, the food, everything. If it's anything lower than 5 stars, they can comment on why their experience wasn't the greatest. This has helped us save customers and see how we need to change. It's allowed for us to have data that we did not have before, send guests discount codes right through your POS to make it better, and it creates the possibility to fix something before it goes to a 1 star at Yelp. Frictionless feedback, operational insights, real-time guest recovery, text marketing, and call to text. Click the link in the show notes. Schedule a demo today. Ovation, how great restaurants get better.
if you go anywhere else in Italy until after World War II, they're not going to even know what pizza means. Like, for instance, my great-grandmother, like, she had never heard the word pizza before till, like, Shakey's came to Waco. You know, she would make me something she called pizza.
Yeah.
But that's just because she knew the kids liked pizza and they would eat it. But it was, for her, it was called faccia di vecchia, which is like a Sicilian, you know.
It's like a specific thing.
Focaccia, grandma pizza thing. So basically you have, you know, it's only in Naples. And then you have Neapolitan immigrants in the late 19th century, early 20th century spreading around the world. So in 1920, if you want to get a pizza, you got to go to either Naples or Sao Paulo, Brazil, or Buenos Aires, or Trenton, New Jersey, New York City, and New Haven. And that's pretty much it. And it's all going to be stretched out and cooked on the surface of an oven. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then that's real pizza, you know? And all those histories have a lineage that goes back to, you know, Neapolitan bakers in Naples. And then post-World War II, I mean, it's like, there's just like this explosion. Everyone wants pizza, but there's only so many people who know pizza, or there's only so many Neapolitan bakers out there, right? But everyone wants pizza. So you have things like Detroit style pizza happens where it's like this guy has a bar, and he's like, man, everybody's talking about this pizza stuff, and he's like, let's sell pizza. What's pizza? I don't know. It's like so and so's grandmother's Sicilian, have her make it. And so just like my great grandmother's Sicilian, she's like, oh, pizza, you want pizza? I'll make you pizza. And it's like she made like a focaccia, so it's like pizza in a pan with tomato on it. They had that cheese, and it's just like it's a different iteration. And then you have stuff like tavern and stuff where it's like, well, let's make a pizza. They make a quick dough. They don't know how to ferment it, so when you if you do an under-fermented dough in the oven, it's gonna poof up and all the toppings are gonna come off. So then they dock it, or they make it drier or whatever. Like you just have these people just trying to make and sell stuff with sauce and cheese on it, and it just like goes wild. So it becomes everything,
Did you watch the like Made in America episode of that about Domino's and Pizza Hut?
No, but I went to the original Pizza Hut location. It's like on a campus somewhere. It's like a little hut. It has it's like there's a little museum in there.
Well, I mean, those two companies kind of changed the way pizza was thought to be too. Especially and then knockoffs of those places like Pizza Loca and stuff that like opened up in Los Angeles, and like, that being.
No, I mean, chain pizza was the first global pizza.
Yeah.
If if you go to Italy, you're going to be able to get pizza in Rome, and you're going to get pizza in Naples, but it's not going to be really anywhere else. It's not till after you have in the 70s, and I was just in Milan, and they have a pizza style there called al trancio, okay, which is like a different way of saying pizza by the slice, and it's like Pizza Hut. It's like big, thick pizza cooked in a pan, loaded with sauce and cheese, and they serve it. It's like thick and spongy, and it was just they're all from the 60s, because there was just this global craze for pizza.
Yeah.
And the Americans had the ability to, scale it and send it out around the world. And franchising was a super innovative way to spread an idea. So it wasn't really till the 80s that the OG Neapolitans caught up and were like, okay, we're going to create this VPN. We're going to start, spreading our pizza culture around the world. But I mean, it starts there. It goes with immigrants. Then there's this free for all, and then there's this kind of
because Domino's was, I'm pretty sure it was them and Pizza Hut were it was like Kansas. That's where that shit was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was two dudes from Kansas who didn't know. You got to watch the episode. Okay. The reenactments of them on because they created delivery too.
Yeah,
that was the most fucking crazy thing people had ever seen.
Yeah,
but
the Pizza Hut guys, for the little I've read about it, is they just wanted to franchise something. Mm-hmm. They were it could have been tacos or burgers, and they just pulled pizza out of their ass.
And they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, they were some guy took a French bread recipe or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how it started.
And that's what that's what Detroit is. So I feel if you go to Detroit in the 70s or you go in the 80s and you're hey, we're here for some Detroit style pizza, they would be what the fuck are you talking about? We have pizza.
Yeah.
This naming things and putting it into a box and taxonomy of pizza is something that comes after the creation, right?
Yeah.
So I don't I'm very interested in styles of pizza that have kind of historical roots. When I was working in Buenos Aires, I did a tour of all the old school places. It was fucking awesome. It was so cool. You know? In Sao Paulo, when I'm there, I went to Castelões, which is the oldest pizza place in Brazil, and it's super, super cool. And it's you see those connections between it and something Frank Pepe's in New Haven. They've got the neon inside, the Chianti fiascos all over the wall and stuff like that. It's super cool.
Do they have any ovens like they do in New Haven that you see, those coal huge fucking ovens? Are those anywhere else in the world?
Yes, but they're wood-fired.
Yeah.
I went to a 100-year-old bakery, and it had that peel that's
the donkey one, yeah,
15 foot long.
Uh-huh.
and it was like I think it was called like a bakery basilicata or something like that, and it's the same thing, a giant chamber oven or like a white oven with a separate chamber, but it's wood. They got lots of wood in Brazil. So, we had coal. So that was like where that, came from.
What's your opinion on the bake out of an electric oven, coal oven, like wood-fired oven? Can you get the same bake in all three of those? Do you need those elements to make a great pizza, or is it just romance, optics?
I mean, heat is the oven, and the heat that it produces is the most important kind of factor in determining it. Let's just assume you have a great, well-fermented dough. Like, how it's going to come out looking is determinant on the temperature ranges that you're going into. So, for me, wood is the first thing I learned to make pizza on. It's what I love. I think it's magical. It's amazing. I think it's 3-dimensional cooking. Like, you're able to move the pizza around to all these different heat zones, and you have like total control. I tell like my clients when they're in the decision phase, like a wood oven is like it's like a Lamborghini. I don't know. I always tell people this, but I realize I've never driven a fucking Lamborghini. So
the Lambo.
Yeah, but it's like a manual transmission Lamborghini. Yeah, it's like you have total control. You're gonna feel everything. It's gonna be very exciting. If you want to go fast, it's great.
Yeah.
Is it the best thing for running errands or going around the block or taking the kids to school? Is it practical? Are you gonna like just let anybody take the keys and take it for a spin? No.
Yeah.
The electric ovens are like, it's like a Tesla. It's like
the
you want to go
Pizza
fast?
Master is a Cybertruck.
Yeah, I guess. I haven't driven a Cybertruck, but when I'm in LA, I like to rent a Tesla. They're pretty fun.
Yes.
But you want to go fast? You can go fast. You want to run errands? You're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to, like, the electric gives you all the options. You know?
Pick the kids up.
Total control.
Drag race somebody on the 101.
Yeah, and like you can pass it off. Like you can train someone else to use it, Yeah. I love it. So those are my top two that I really like. I feel like gas is always a compromise.
Yeah.
No one dreams of opening a pizzeria with a
Baker's Pride anymore.
Or like a gas oven, like wood oven, like a dome oven with a gas flame in it.
Okay,
no one dreams about that.
No.
And then the Baker's Pride is always like a bit of a compromise because, like you got a limiter on there,
Yeah.
And like I remember the very first time I tried to make like New York pizza in like a Baker's Pride oven. I had been doing like wood-fired pizza for a really long time, and I was like, I'll show these guys. Just crank the thing all the way up. Just high heat's better, right?
Yeah.
Burnt the bottom, top was white. So like to use those and get great pizza out of there, respect.
Yeah.
It's hard. You have to time everything up. Like when you're in a wood oven doing Neapolitan, you can move it around. You can kind of push the pizza in the direction you want it to be. With New York, you got to build the pizza. The cheese and sauce ratios have to be perfect. The dough has to be perfectly fermented, and you put it in and you just cross your fingers and check in 6 minutes and see what's happening.
Yeah,
it's the people who do New York well. It's mad impressive. I'd say it's on a factor more difficult than Neapolitan.
Yeah, especially on high volume too.
Yeah. But yeah, so electric and wood for me all the way.
Do you have a favorite electric oven?
No.
Have you tried the Fiero stone conveyor oven? Have you seen those?
No, I've been meaning to though.
It's pretty next level.
I was just in Ireland and talking about circling way back when we were talking about Roberta's and the influences. This is one of those places that they were inspired by Roberta's, and they opened a place in Galway, the Dobros. Great guys.
Dobros.
Yeah, Eugene and Ronan. Super, super cool guys, brothers. They opened this place. Fun toppings on like a 12-inch Neapolitan pizza, and they throw parties, and it's a vibe, and they're just the best guys. So we had a pizza party for their 10-year anniversary. And they had a couple pizza masters because they're getting ready to open a New York slice place. That's the thing now. Like globally, everyone is really, looking to New York and East Coast, New Haven kind of stuff like that's like the big inspo. That's what people want. But they're opening one. It's going to be great. But they had 2 Pizza Masters, and then they had the conveyor electric. It's an Italforni. Is that what it is? And they were doing their Neapolitan out of it. And it was just like, they're just coming out, But
I haven't tested it. Tommy actually went. Do you know a guy named Andy from Andy's Pizza?
yeah, no, I know Andy. I went and I visited his pizza. He showed me the whole thing. That guy's...
He's a psychopath.
Yeah,
dude.
he's a stud, dude.
I love you, Andy. We went on the Stanislaus tour.
Yeah.
The summer tour together this summer. But I haven't tested it out, but Tommy went and tested the one out in Irwindale. But, I mean, you're getting the same bake you do on a Pizza Master, and no one's turning it. It's done in 4.5 minutes. And kind of like the name of the game these days is how can you automate your shop if minimum wage is going to continue to go up, or you can't even find people to pay minimum wage too.
Yeah. I mean, the chain, like history of Domino's and Pizza Hut, those guys started making pizza the way we make pizza. Stretch it out, put it on a peel, slide it into the oven, But they don't have somebody's no on the wall staring at them saying like, this is a traditional pizzeria, you have to make it this way. So when technology comes along, they're like, great, fuck it. We'll throw it through a conveyor. Oh, it's just hot air? Fine, we'll put it on a screen. Like, we don't care. Like, we're trying to sell pizza,
Yes, but those
and those are robots.
True, yeah. But I've never liked a conveyor oven. But
No.
This conveyor oven, like the bottom, the booty,
Yeah.
the crust. This is a pizza that I would be able to cook with all of my expertise coming out of an oven in 4.5 minutes.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. You're getting that conductive heat that you don't get with like just a hot air conveyor oven, impingement oven. So you're
And
getting
a
the stones.
stone. Yeah.
And then you're getting radiant heat from the top. I mean, it's like the pizza doesn't know.
And the customer doesn't know either. Like that's the thing is like trying to like when you have your own pizzeria, they become a lot more real. Like that's why I have the fantasy of being a consultant, where you just leave. You know what I mean? Here's the keys. Here's everything I know. Here's how to train the staff. Here's the keys to the castle, to paradise. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I never really say goodbye. I try to stay. And like, I'm not going to be a consultant in business very long if my clients aren't succeeding. And,
of course.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think being able to kind of make those long-term decisions over and over again is really nice. You know? And it's a conversation. That oven is a conversation I've had with people recently because it's like, look, this is a pizzeria, and any restaurant really is something with a lot of variables. Yeah. And if you can minimize those variables, you're going to increase consistency. And consistency is like the name of the game.
Fiero also, I think, has that Prima pizza press. Have you seen those that keep all the air? I got all this from Andy. Andy was like, he went and tested them out, and he's like, give me 11 of those. And I was like, what the fucking, you got a black card? And those other ovens are $30,000 just for one conveyor. Wow. But I don't know. Is that like, do you ever get clients that ask you about these things or want those things?
Yeah, I mean, I have clients that have intention to scale. Yeah. I'd say my niche of what I do and who I work with are people who are trying to do maybe something a little more
special.
Yeah, artisanal, special. Yeah. I mean, people come to me because they're into like natural fermentation and stone milled flour and natural wine, and they want to have, like there's like a archetype of the kind of jobs that I do. Yeah. Which is fine. That's what I like. Yeah. I didn't get into pizza because, I wanted to like scale it and like make lots of money. Like it was like my original background was in tech, and in high school I worked in restaurants. I was a dishwasher. I did pasta cook. I did all kinds of stuff like that. But then after high school, I had a tech company, and you know, I just at some point had a moment where I just was like, I don't care about this. It's like everything is about just making money, and it's like your life is what you do every day. And I don't like what I'm doing every day. You know, I don't want to sit in front of a computer for the rest of my life, you know? And I was happier when I was in a restaurant with weirdos, like, you know, doing whatever.
Plenty of those.
Yeah, exactly. And then I could draw, you know, like in my spare time. I didn't have to take my work home. It's like when you're clocked out, you're clocked out, you know?
Do you find it as crazy as I do that we put the best ingredients in our pizza, our dough, our cheese, toppings, fresh produce, and then we put pencil shavings on our tables called red chili flakes? What is a red chili flake? We found out about Flatiron premium pepper flakes from a customer who actually brought us some. We were putting it on every slice we ate. It was gold. We were like searching for it like addicts in the back, just like, ooh, where's the Flatiron? Where's the Flatiron? There is no going back. When you pop these peppers, you are gonna know. You can smell it, you can feel it, you can taste it. The 4-pepper blend, which is actually the blend we have on every table at Hot Tongue, definitely has a higher heat level, and I'm a heat guy, if you know what I'm saying. It has the arbol, the jalapeno, the ghost, and the habanero. Spicy. They are liberating pizzerias from low-quality pepper flakes. Flatiron pepper, you are going to know the difference. In here, real peppers from Italy. Let's go. Head to flatironpepper.com right now. Use the code pie to pie at checkout. That's pie, number 2, pie at checkout. And any order over $25 is going to get you a bottle free of the sweet heat. Put that sweet heat in your cart, and any order over $25, that baby's gonna be free. Do not miss this chance to upgrade your pepper game. Head to flatironpepper.com right now and join the Pepper Flake revolution.
If someone comes to me as a prospective client and they're like, I have a great concept, you know, and we're gonna make a lot of money, I'm kind of like, you know.
Yeah.
Like that's like, one of the first things I ask is, why do you want to start a pizzeria? And to me, I think the correct answer is because I'm obsessed with pizza. I'm obsessed with the idea of opening a pizza restaurant.
Yeah.
Like I leave my job and I come home and I make pizza in my backyard.
Yeah.
You know, or I have a pop-up and I want to turn it into my full-time thing. You know, I'm tired of being a, you know, regional corporate manager for a paper company or something, but you know,
but so the difference between somebody like that and someone like me is I've been in the restaurant industry for 17 plus years. They want a whole completely different lifestyle change. There's a dream of, I mean, do you ever like talk to them too and be like, do you really want this? You know what I mean?
I talk a lot of people out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of my clients are lifetime, you know, restaurant industry people. I have hotel groups, I have restaurant groups.
Well, I'm sure you see it all.
Yeah. But I think my ideal client is someone who knows the realities knows that there's a lot easier ways to make money.
Yes.
But that if you want to make money and also make people happy, like this is the best business there is.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think the best way in this business to make money is?
I think to be in a B market, you know, so don't be like paying New York and LA and Seattle rent, but be in a place like Charlotte or, you know, like San Antonio or something like that, and just find your neighborhood, find your niche, open a neighborhood restaurant, and then hopefully you become a destination, you know, and something where you keep it simple, and you know, you're providing something better than anyone's ever had before, you know, but that is something everyone else is familiar with. Like we were talking about pizza styles before, and Rob Cervoni and the Altaglio, and having to explain it to people. No one does this. I want to be the first one to do this style in my. It's like maybe everyone does New York style pizza because that's what everyone loves, you know.
Well, it's like what they're familiar with, but like Rob told us, you know, he started out only doing that style of pizza, and then 2 weeks into his business, he was like, I have to put a fucking round on here.
I bet his rounds are fire too.
Yeah, they are. We had it. It was delicious.
And that's like, you know, sell the people, give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Like I think I would love to go to. I'm gonna make you pan pizza later.
Yep.
I would love to take my pan pizza to Chicago and just be like, "What's up?" Like,
fuck you guys.
Yeah, you guys like
it's your
pan
boy
pizza. How about this?
Falco.
Boom.
You don't know shit.
Because I mean, like they have the deep dish, which is like a pastry crust filled with cheese, which I have no desire to even learn how to do that.
It ain't for me.
It's not for me, and like I'm in it
casserole.
for the dough. I'm in it for fermentation and bubbles.
Yeah.
And air.
If I'm blacked out drunk, I'll eat some fucking deep dish.
Dude, it's like that moment of this is pretty good. You're like endorphin rush of cheese and like meat and shit.
That's all
You're
it'll
just
ever be though. This is pretty good.
Yeah. And then like 2 hours later, you're just like, fucking kill me. But they do also like a pan pizza, right? I don't know what the terminology is there, but
I think it's pan pizza.
yeah, pizza del pan.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like focaccia kind of thing, but it's round. I like to make them round, and so like I love the. I think that like that's awesome. Go to a place where people are familiar with something, and then do it better.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to make money in this business is do it better, keep it simple, focus on like your neighborhood first.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you can become a destination,
Right now, I go through ups and downs, all kinds of crazy things. We're stripping down like a lot of the menu at Hot Tongue, and
I went to your pizzeria. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
I really liked it. The bar pie was fuego.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny that like that's the pie really everybody wants. The vehicle is just this smashed, burnt fucking thing, But I'm grateful for that. But the thing that I've really gotten into that maybe I have like looked past in prior times was the proportions of everything. That's now what I think is what separates great from good is your dough ball weight. The amount of sauce, the amount of cheese, the temperature you're baking at, all these smaller things that kind of get looked over, where it's like everyone just wants the greatest fermentation, long fermentation on their dough with the right flours. And, like how meticulous do you get when you go in to do somebody's program? Is it
extremely?
Is it just like
to the gram.
fucking dialed in?
No, everything is to the gram.
Yeah.
Everything is to the gram. All the recipes are in percentages. Everything's done with a scale for prep, and then, you measure what you can realistically on the line, but it's a lot training, So like, you've got your oven, and then you've got, the balance of sauce and cheese and other toppings. And you've got to we just do it over and over again until we hit that perfect balance.
Yeah.
And then you scale all that out. And then you say, look, we're going to portion everything that we can realistically portion.
Yeah.
And then everything else is training. I remember when, I first started helping Roberta's expand, I was talking to somebody who worked at Stumptown, a good friend of mine, and John Feldman, great guy.
Great company.
Yeah. And yeah, the coffee's great. And we were both doing a pop-up in Austin. We were doing South by Southwest. We were making pizza. They were doing coffee, and they had like set up a espresso machine in the middle of this fucking tent at Fader Fort, Austin.
Sick.
They were starting to first expand out of Portland they were just coming to New York. They were opening. I was like, how are you guys? Like, it's pizza and is espresso. Like, espresso is pizza. Like, you can have great beans and you can fuck them up in the roast. You can have the grinders wrong. You can, there's so many variables along the way to where you get a perfect cappuccino or cortado or whatever. How are you guys going to scale it? How are you doing it? Because I want to, I'm trying to do the same thing with pizza. And it's like, you measure everything you can, and then everything else is training.
Well, when you go in, like, Al, the Pizza Buddha?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are friends?
Good guy.
Yeah. I mean, I know his whole...
I listened to y'all's episode.
It was a wild one, dude. Al is the fucking man.
High energy.
Yes. But it's important for me, what I love to see in somebody's shop is a shit ton of process and policy on their wall. It's like if I walk into a shop and I can kind of see that, like, I mean, on our line, we do have the pictures, like we do have the toppings, we do have the things that create accountability, so that they're empowered to have those things. They know what it's expected. You know, for a long time, early in my career, I thought these things were
No, you gotta have those
cheesy
things.
or like fucking corporate, but like these are the things that create a consistent restaurant. I know Al does those same things where he takes the pictures
Yes,
and goes to
100%.
You do all that stuff too?
Yeah, I think the difference is that, like, for me, I mean, the background of restaurants that I worked at, you know, those things are just kind of hidden a little bit, you know, like in a chain restaurant or a fast casual restaurant, you know, they're going to laminate it and they're going to put it on the line.
That's right. It's on the line, baby.
In
I love laminating things. They make fun of me. They go, "Oh, here comes the laminator again."
It's real now. You smell that?
Yeah, yeah. It's written in gold, baby.
I think the difference between, like, a lot of the projects I work on is, you know, it's in the back. Mm-hmm. It's in pre-meal. Mm-hmm. You know, it's in training sessions. Mm-hmm. It's trusted for the chefs from the top down to kind of do that. You know,
Yes.
I mean, I do work on projects that are trying to scale and be fast casual and stuff like that. But in something like, I mean, even at Roberta's, when we had all that stuff, we had spec sheets, we had all this stuff. It's not on the line. We have, you know, there was chefs there who are controlling that quality control from Expo. And
Yeah.
then they're going over it, you know, in between service, pulling those sheets out, pulling those specs out. Be like, make me a pizza with the scale. Let me see what you're doing there, because I think it's too much cheese. Give me a handful of mozzarella. What do you think? Do you think that's 90 grams?
Yeah.
No, it's a little too much. And that you're, you know, but you have to have that as a base. You know, I mean, you have to know. You have to know what your goals are. I mean, anything you can measure, you can improve on.
Yeah.
You know, it's all data. Like,
Yeah.
You have to know. But there's an art form to it, because it's not, you know, a restaurant is more than spreadsheets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's one of the most ephemeral human businesses. You know, there's emotion attached to it. Just when you walk into a place, how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there are also people who are just super successful and don't do that. You know, like the way I look at it is my influences are, you know, the restaurants I've worked in, and the chefs I've worked for. And then there's the home cooking, you know, it's like a little cliche, but it's like, you know, grandma's cooking,
Mm-hmm.
you know, having that Italian-American background. You know, my great-grandmother never measured anything. And she just made sick bread, sauce, pasta, all the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like she just did it by touch and feel. And I think that's, you can do that and you can be successful. But, you know, that's also someone who spent their lifetime cooking for people.
Yeah, but at that point, can you scale? Or that person needs to be there.
No, you can't scale.
with their hands on it.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of like, I have a lot of clients who are really successful and they don't scale. They have
Or not even
one
scale,
restaurant.
but be able to leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I
No. You can't. No.
Yeah, dude,
No,
I
you
don't-
can't. Well, have you read Setting the Table?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he talks about the restaurant he worked at, the Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
The guy dies and the whole thing goes to shit.
Yeah.
There's a difference between intention and intuition.
Yeah.
You know, that guy had the intuition of being a restaurateur, of like making great food, of, you know, commanding the room, you know, of giving service, giving the love.
Yeah.
But he didn't know how to turn it into systems.
Well, I think a lot of people don't. I've had this conversation a lot lately about like the owner that's chained to the oven because they either don't know better or they think it's the only way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, no, I mean, that's a huge part of what I do. And if that's not the perception, it's just because I don't Instagram about that.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm more about just making good-looking food.
Yeah, of course.
You know? But behind the scenes, yeah, that's what it all is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my process. We go in and everything is scales, and not just weight, it's time, it's temperature.
Yeah.
you know, and everything you can measure, you know, from the air temperature, the water temperature. I test the water everywhere I go. You know, I mean, it's not like the end of the world if you use, like, you know, New York City tap water is amazing, but it's not holy water. There's shitty pizza everywhere in the city.
Yeah.
But good water is good. You know, where is your flour coming from? You know, how old is your flour? People don't realize flour has an expiration date. You know, so when you're in Asia and stuff is getting shipped all over, like, you know, you have to know, like, well, are they buying just too many pallets at a time and warehousing it for you?
Yeah.
And you're going to start, by the end of the year, your pizza's going to be shit. You don't know why. You know, there's just all those factors. You have to know what they are. You have to be able to track them. You know, and you have to be, but at the end of the day, I think still that intuition, it's got to be a blend. It's got to be a hybrid of those two things. You know?
Yeah. How often are you eating pizza in New York?
Pretty often.
Yeah.
I mean, either testing here at home, or when I have clients in town, you know, I take them on pizza tours. It's a nice little service I have by being based out of New York.
Yeah.
That my clients can come here and we'll do pizza tours.
So what's that tour look like?
It varies from like the quick one,
Yeah.
you know, which if they have just like an afternoon and a light stomach, then we're just going to go to what I call, you know, the pizza triangle right now of greatness, which is, it's just developed recently. It's made my life easier. You don't have to schlep around the city. Is you can just go to the West Village, Linda Street, Mama's 2, and then hop down to Lucia, and you got 3 of the best slice shops in the city.
Yeah.
Or a more extensive tour is going to have some history involved. So maybe we're going to go to Titano's, or we're going to go to what I think is one of the best pizzerias in New York right now, Weeded. Not easy to get to though.
Have you had Chrissy's?
I haven't yet. It's just around the corner.
Is it?
Yeah. But yeah, every time I walk by, there's a really long line. But
What makes the industry so good?
just Nick and Massimo and Nick,
It's
know?
just bomb.
which Nick is my next door neighbor.
Oh, really?
He lives in the building next door.
That's cool.
He's the best guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Massimo's also in the neighborhood. Great guy. I mean, Massimo's amazing.
Yeah.
And that, you know, Massimo just has a desire to like just constantly be better. I mean, I went when it was just him and that room, and it was just like enough room for him to move pizzas in and out in that tiny oven that he had. And, you know, he slowly just expanded and gotten better, and just, you know, he's there, you know, he's overseeing it, and he has great people. They train people from scratch. Like, they don't hire like pizza guys, you know,
Yeah.
like they take people with a desire to learn, and they mold them into their method and their processes, which are very unique. And they're just passionate, and they care, and they're operators. They're there all the time, you know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So,
All things that are very important for.
but I had a client from Sydney, and that we did the ultimate East Coast pizza tour. It was 4 days, 4 states.
Jeez.
So I have a car, so we drive around. So we did like a bunch of slice shops in New York. We also went to Weeded, and then we went to New Jersey, and we went to Bread and Salt, which is spectacular. Al Taglio style again, coming up. And then we went to Raza in Jersey City as well. Spectacular. Dan's one of the best guys in the business. And then we went up to New Haven. We did the whole New Haven thing. And then we drove down to Philly, and we did Angela's and Badia.
Badia?
Yeah.
Nice.
And Shack and Maxon, which I went to, which, you know, it's okay. It's okay. But Badia, I mean, I love Joe. I think he's awesome. I used to go to the Badia 1.0 a lot. It was amazing. I think the new restaurant is also very good, and Angelo's is just like awesome.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. But yeah,
It's a hell of a tour.
yeah, they were
Giving
begging
Scott
for
Wiener
mercy.
a run for his money.
Yeah, they were begging for mercy at the end of it. So, Titano's though was a real standout. I mean, to me, like that's like such an interesting historical, you know, pizza. That's like a connection to the very first pizza maker in New York. You know,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And it's a real connection. It's not like, you know, manufactured.
You've consulted on New York City slice shops, right? Did you
I
consult?
have.
Do you consult on norms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do any of like the art or visual aspect of that brand or any of the branding?
No,
No.
they had a great branding company do all
Okay.
that though. It's awesome branding,
It's
right?
really sick. I thought maybe you had some of your hands on that.
No, I mean it's definitely. I vibe with it.
Yeah.
I approve this message.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's
That's
sick.
Falco approved.
Yeah, no, they're great, and then Upside as well. Same people,
Yeah.
and they're just great. Noam is. You should interview Noam sometime. He's a great guy, and he's a real operator. You know, great client. Like just like the restaurant is spotless, organized, clean, consistent. They've been doing all natural fermentation for, 5 years now, and over the court, I mean, I think collection is 6, 7, 8 locations. I don't know how many between Norms and Upside, how many they have. But to have that many locations, scale that much, and still be putting out like high quality pizza, it's impressive.
Yeah. Becoming an international pizza consultant. Does that happen overnight? Like, what was it just one job, and then that one job turned into all these jobs? Because like it sounds like you're traveling all the time now. Obviously, you have a portfolio that you have built, but I mean, I don't want to say it fell into your lap, but did it fall into your lap?
It's a pretty clear like path.
Yeah. Because a lot of people like say they consult or want to consult or like, everyone's a consultant these days.
Sure. I mean, I started calling myself an international pizza consultant after the first person in a different country paid me to consult on pizza.
That would make you a
I think, I mean,
yeah.
People can, I get my share of criticism.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's life. But yeah, that's one of the things where I feel no problem with. It's like, I just consulted in a different country. I am now an international pizza consultant.
I mean, it's
professional.
It's like it sounds nice.
Yeah.
It sounds official.
Thank you. It's a turn of phrase. I've had a few turn of phrases in my life that I think that they go a long way. It's marketing. I mean, I have a background in marketing, so I think that helps a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah. So how that came to be was I did get pretty lucky. I mean, I think that's an important. I mean, I've worked hard, but I think luck is always a factor.
Of course.
But when I was a pizza czar of Roberta's, my job was to be the tip of the spear. So, maintaining consistency and quality at all of the compound, and then all new projects. So working on new locations and then doing pop-ups, and then that included international pop-ups. So I went, with Carlo to Brazil, and we did a pop-up. We took over a very famous pizzeria in Sao Paulo, the pizza capital of the world. I don't know if you know.
I do now.
Yeah. And, it's a pizza crate. Only New York City has more pizzerias in total. I think Orlando has the most per capita, which is an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah.
But went to Sao Paulo. I mean, and this is a huge company. I mean, CIATC, which is my partners who, we own Bras Electrica together. I have a small part. They're a huge company. They have 42 different restaurants. So they have a massive, ability to promote and things like that. So when we came down there, it was a big deal. We did Rio pop-up, and then we did Sao Paulo pop-up. We were news in Brazil. And, picture in the paper, all that stuff. And then I did a pop-up in Toronto as well with Roberta's. And so I was on the international pizza radar, I guess. And so after Roberta's, they invited me down there, and
People had your contacts.
Yeah, exactly. So people knew me in those cities. And so it's not a coincidence that the first 2 international pizza consulting jobs I did were in Brazil and Toronto.
But how do people like in Manila or like the Middle East be like, yeah, you got to go with Falco. That's the guy.
I mean, I think it's just SEO, you know? I mean, I think like if you type pizza consultant in, I think I come up pretty high on it.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of articles. You know, like I said, I think before me there was a lot of pizza consultants. I don't think that I think it was people who kind of did it behind the scenes. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think there's like Neapolitan guys who have worked in more countries than me. I mean, there's pizza, like when I go to these cities, when I'm in Mumbai or whatever, there's a Neapolitan pizza place that's been there for 20 years. You know?
Yeah.
So like, so people have been doing it. I think I was the first person to kind of like, I mean, and I'm like totally against kind of first. I was the first to do this. I was the first to put this ingredient on a pizza. It's like, were you?
Yeah.
Really? Like, but I think putting international pizza consultant in my Instagram bio, I think maybe that was it. Like people see that and they go, that's a dream job.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great job. You just go around the world and you eat pizza. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a fucking nightmare a lot of times, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it sounds like a dream job and everyone's kind of, you know, everyone wants to have a dream job, you know, but it's a real job. It's a lot of hard work. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. My WhatsApp is going off in every time zone.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, it's very, like right now is very stressful. I have a couple restaurants that are under the gun to get open and they like are trying to open around the same time on two different sides of the planet. So
Yeah.
it's like, I've got to juggle these people who both, and I try not to take on too many jobs so that doesn't happen, but like, you know, what are the chances that one project that started 5 years ago and another one that started 6 months ago are going to try and open the same week? You know, every once in a while that happens and it's pretty stressful. And then, you know, I'll be on the road sometimes for a month or two and that can be hard with the family.
Yeah, of course. Like, how does that affect your, like, just family life?
Well, luckily my wife is incredible and, also not super needy, so
That's helpful.
yeah, she's an only child, so like she's totally, you know, she's not like, I think I miss her more than anything than you know, the other way around, but it's good because I mean I get a lot of solid family time when I'm here. Like
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, take the kids to school, pick them up from school. I'm working from my office in the house. Like we're here recipe testing together. And then I'm gone. Whereas when I was, you know, running Roberta's, like, you know, I didn't hardly see them at all. I mean, just like anyone running a restaurant, you're in the restaurant all the time.
Yeah.
You know? Running the pizza program at Roberta's.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a nice balance. You know, I like traveling, and you know, we work together. So like, I call home and I'm like, hey, honey, how you doing? Love you. And she's like, great. We have to respond to these 5 emails. I'm like, okay, let's get to business. You know,
Always
and then
working.
now in the summer, or if there's any place we can drive to, the kids come with and they help. Roman makes mozzarella. Frank is, you know, tossing dough, and like it's a family business now. So,
Do you do a lot of domestic consulting, or is it a lot out of this country?
oh, I do a lot of domestic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, a week may look like, you know, South America, Asia, Greenville, South Carolina.
Nice.
You know, like, and I love the small city jobs. I mean, I think like I worked on a project in Iowa in Mason City, which is really interesting. I got this coffee mug there from the Frank Lloyd Wright Museum. It's the only functional Frank Lloyd Wright hotel in the world. He did a lot of his early work in Mason City, Iowa. And it's a town that was like, you know, people love that town who are from there, but it's, you know, it's former manufacturing. It's kind of seen better days. And, you know, this Pipe Dream Pizza, they were following their dream of opening this pizzeria in this small town and right in the downtown, revitalizing the downtown. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard to get ingredients. You know, you can't just get everything you want like in LA and New York, you know. So sourcing, like some of my favorite products come from Iowa too, like Prairie Breeze cheddar or LaGuercia meats. But you can't get them because of the Ciscoification of the American food system.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally fucked. Like these great ingredients that are coming from the middle of the country are just going to the coast. And then the people in the middle, they have these like highways that go through their city with Taco Bell, Wendy's, you know, and all this stuff. And that's all this food system where Cisco has it like, you know, and these other companies, you know, it's like a very corporatized, processed food, you know, foolproof. No, you don't need to have your hands in it, kind of thing. As opposed to like, you're in Iowa, you're surrounded by farms.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It
but there's
be
no
that.
like farm to table food delivery, you know, purveyor.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to fight for it. They have to fight for everything that they're doing there, and then it's like they're doing wood-fired Neapolitan pizza. So then they have to deal with like, okay, people are not used to maybe, you know, that char or that, you know, they got to explain. So, but if it's successful, you know, and if it takes off, I mean, you're going to change the food system.
Yeah.
Which is like what I think the most important part of my job is people ask me what products we should use, and I'm saying, you know, these family-owned companies, like we talk about Stanislaus, you've been there. It's a family-owned company. The factory is spotless. They treat their employees really well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've been to a lot of the producers, like the flour companies that I use. Like, you know, I mean, King Arthur, that's a cooperative. It's a employee-owned company.
Yeah.
You know, I don't use General Mills. You know, I don't use companies that are part of this processed food system. I don't use bleached flour, bromated flour, things like that, which hopefully will be illegal soon.
Yeah. It is in California.
Yeah, and that's great. And, you know, and that California has been pushing the food system forward. Mm-hmm. You know, pushing everything. They push everything forward. I mean, I love cooking in California. It's like my favorite thing to do. Like,
Ingredients are abundant, that's for sure.
yeah, when we did the pizza in Napa, we went to the Marin County Farmers Market to get all our
That was
produce.
nice.
It's so good. So in August.
Nice.
Yeah, real nice.
Yeah.
We picked up our flour from Karen Springs in Washington, 100% Karen Springs, Glacier Peak.
You know Kevin?
Yeah, I know Kev.
You guys are homies, huh?
Yeah, dude. Well, because Rebecca's parents retired there.
It's up by Bellingham, isn't it?
It's in
Close?
Skagit Valley.
Yeah.
It's
Skagit
literally
magic, baby.
Yeah, Skagit magic, dude. That's where her parents retired to. It's the same town.
Do you think you're a bit responsible for making Karen Springs a hipster flower?
No. Maybe.
You and Chris Bianco kind of like started using them, and I feel like that's how I heard about them.
Yeah.
In 2017, I think I got my first bag.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember where I first. I mean, I use so many different flours. Like what I made you today has Barton Springs Mill in it, which also great. The guy who runs that name's James Brown.
James Brown.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's great. But I try every stone milled flour because I love to just blend that in, cut that in, because, you know, apart from supporting the change in the food system, like Kevin was telling me, like, you know, 200 years ago there was 200,000 stone mills in the country. Now there's 200. You know, there was a great consolidation of wheat milling and processing. I mean, like when I first did a project in Lisbon, the first thing I did, I got off the plane and we went to this mill in Paulino Horta. Awesome. You know, it's a modern stone milled flour mill on the same site where his great grandfather used to mill flour with a windmill. You know, and the windmill still functions, and they gave us a tour of that. You know, every community had this triangle. You know, it's on the back of the central milling bag, right? The triangle. You know, the farmer, the miller, the baker, right? And this is an ancient relationship. You know,
The Deathly Hollows.
thousands of years.
Yeah.
Right? And so every community, you came in and you had to have a mill. And stone milled flour has an expiration date, you know, but then turn of the century, you have this massive industrialization of
Food gets ruined.
centralization and industrialization, and it fed a lot of people. You know, there's a great book called The Wizard and the Prophet about Norman Borlaug, which I think that's his name. I hope I didn't butcher that. But, you know, I mean, using, like, fertilizer and pesticides and things like that. And he was doing research on, not like genetically modifying it by going in and changing the genes, but genetically modifying it the way farmers have been doing it for 10,000 years, which is by breeding. He went to Mexico where he could do 2 breeds changes a year, one in the mountains, one in the valley. And he came up with dwarf wheat, and there's 2 or 3 billion people alive today because of this one man.
Yeah.
And so like technology is not our enemy, but we've got to find a little balance between just like stripping all of the nutrients out of something and then trying to reconstitute it with some soy and corn. And
Well, is that dude the reason why there's so many annoying gluten-free people?
I mean, possibly. I think the reason why there's so many people with gluten intolerances is bad fermentation and then bad flour products. I mean, like in Portugal, everyone starts their day just eating a freaking giant hunk of bread and a really strong cup of coffee.
Sign me up. Some butter and bread, I think, is if it's good bread and good butter, there's no better meal.
And everyone's skinny. Everyone lives to be very old, But they're also eating local meats, and they're eating the organs of animals, and they're eating like fat from animals and natural sources, and olive oil, lots and lots of olive oil. Like in my cooking, in my book, and in all of my cooking, I use olive oil, butter, animal fat. That's it. I don't use any seed oils or anything. I'm like a seed oil weirdo or like anti-seed oil weirdo.
You're a seed oil weirdo.
But
you're a fucking seed oil weirdo.
Before that whole movement came about, I was an olive oil guy. I mean, I love olive oil. Like I've got some.
I'm an oil man.
Yeah, exactly. This is my son, Frank Falco.
I wouldn't take the land if you gave it to me.
If I don't open a pizza restaurant, I'm gonna just move to Sicily and open an olive oil operation.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, it would be nice.
God, the Pizza Expo.
Yeah,
You were a keynote.
I was.
Was that? Do you feel like that did something for your career? Do you think Pizza Expo is like a fast track to becoming rich and famous?
Obviously not.
I think everyone kind of has a little pipe dream about like some people out there like getting on the world pizza champions and being a keynote and being part of that community.
Yeah, no, being the keynote was kind of a nightmare for me.
Was that around the same time the book was coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that same year. It was the pandemic year. It was supposed to be March 2020.
Yeah.
And then it kept getting delayed. And I was actually living in Vegas at the time, opening Super Frico. Lived in Vegas for like 3 months, opening that restaurant.
Damn.
And yeah, it was a nightmare because it was like the first expo after the pandemic, so no one really wanted to be there. A lot of people were like mad, that it was happening. And then like I feel like there was a lot of like I feel like if you're like I don't know, I grew up in the 90s, I'm 80s and 90s.
I'm a 90s dad.
Yeah,
you know
I'm
what
a
I'm
90s
saying?
dad.
I'm a 90s dad.
So like it sucks. Like it sucked, honestly, being named. If I could go back again, I would not do it. I would say, no thanks, you should have somebody else do it. Because it just like, I mean, I lost friends. Like, I think people just get weird that they're not the ones who get picked to be the
Oh, like that.
speaker.
I thought maybe you lost friends because it was COVID and people were mad you did it.
No, I mean,
people got jealous of you?
I mean, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it was, I don't know. It was just like, it was not fun for me because of like the pandemic, and then there was so much pressure, and like, and the book was coming out, and there's just like, just haters, and it just was like, ugh, fuck, I just want this to be done with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm over it. I haven't been back to the Pizza Expo since, it's like, I started in the Pizza Expo, the first time I ever went was I got paid to cook pizza in a booth.
Yeah.
And like, I fucking loved it. I
Yeah.
thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because like, what industry are you going to have like some guy who owns like a, franchise in Louisiana, and then like Sarah Minnick and Anthony Mangieri and Chris Bianco in the same room? I mean, it's the whole spectrum of the greatest artisanal producers, and then just like the regular ass guys, who are looking for new chicken wing providers. Like, it was the coolest fucking thing ever. I thought it was so cool. And I was fanboying big time. I was just like cooking pizza in this booth. Womack invited me, and like, that's, I'm very thankful for him to like think of me to come cook.
Was that at the King Arthur booth?
We were at the Chef's Warehouse booth.
Okay.
Before the King Arthur thing.
Yeah.
And then Noel put the King Arthur thing together. And
Noel?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yep. But yeah, he invited me to do that, and I was in that booth with all those guys. And I went to the Pizza Expo because people were paying me to go make pizza, and like people started from when I first went, I was picking people out, being like, Mark, let me get a picture with you. Like, Chris, let me get a picture with you. Like, oh my God, Sarah, it's so great to meet you in person. Like, just like, I was fanboying big time. And then people started recognizing me, and, it was cool. But like, I'd rather, like, if you can just stay the person who's doing their thing under the radar, that's the way to do it. Like, it's like,
well, I feel
it's the
like
difference between like Nirvana and Melvin's. Would you rather be?
I feel like you were getting up there like as Nirvana though, and then like then you were just like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And you like, because like Pizza Today, like you're a celebrity, like in the pizza world, right? Is that weird?
It is weird to me. I mean, like, I feel like if I'm successful, it's because I've tried to keep this, like, I tell my clients all the time, you got to be an underdog. No one's going to root for you if you're not an underdog anymore. The way you're, like, make your logo a little fucked up, like, don't make everything too polished, don't be too polished. So like, I want to be an underdog. I want to be on the indie label,
Yeah. Can you be on the indie label now though, like, again,
if I just disappear to fucking Italy.
Yeah, true. But you always come back as that person.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, it sounds pretty lame that, and I guess it happens anywhere where people, when you have success or whatever, like you can kind of see who like your real friends are, because people are either going to root for you or they're going to fucking talk shit behind your back. And it's sad that like, maybe that kind of happened to you.
It happened to me. And there's a lot of real ones out there.
Yeah.
Frank Pinello yesterday.
Yeah.
The realest of the real ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said, what question do I have to ask Falco? And he goes, why hasn't he opened up a pizzeria?
Yeah.
So that's what I led with.
Yeah.
The book, was that something that you always wanted to do? Did somebody like approach you with that idea? Like, you guys.
Yes, I always wanted to write a book. When I was a kid, if you were to ask me like what I wanted to do when I grow up, it would be an author or an illustrator, write like graphic novels.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wanted to do. So they gave me a cookbook deal, and I tried to turn it into an art book, Yeah,
I think like we were talking off camera, it's really well done. Like, the book itself is really beautiful.
Well, great. We had some great people working on it.
Yeah.
But like, I had a lot of opinions on the cover, on the fonts. Like, I'm a big typography nerd. So like, I did a bunch of the illustrations. I did a bunch of the photography. And I had an opportunity to work on the Roberta's book. I mean, they didn't pay me for it, but whatever.
Checks in the
mail. It was a different time then, But I had an opportunity to do a lot of photography for that book and illustrations for that book. So like, I knew what I wanted to do, and it was awesome. I'm on the path of this pizza consultant path, right? Mm-hmm. And like, the path to open a restaurant has to open up and have a rainbow and, birds singing around it for me to go on that path right now. That's the reason. It's got to be something I can't like say no to.
Yeah.
Because it's a good path I'm on right now.
Yeah.
And on this path, I can keep doing the consulting, write another book.
Yeah. Is there another book?
This is in my head. Yeah, there's two.
Yeah.
And I've actually written a bunch of it too. I mean, that's partly one of the reasons why I was in Italy so much this summer was doing research on focaccia.
Is it called Pizza Empire?
Focaccia World is a working title.
Nice.
Yeah, or Italian American World. From the old world to the new world to the whole world.
Nice. I like that.
Thank you.
A top 10 bestseller, New York Times.
Let's hope so. Yeah, I mean, the first book was received really well. It still sells pretty well on Amazon. Barnes and Nobles
It's definitely
nominated it for Book of the Year.
Is it weird, like going into like probably 90% of pizzerias and seeing your book?
Yeah, there's been some funny moments. Like, I was just in London, and it was in the bookstore right in central London, which was cool. I bought a copy, and I was in Taipei, and I was like, look, my client was like, we got to go check out this pizzeria, and I was peeking my head in there, and the dude saw me and was like, what the fuck? And like opened the door. He's like, what are you doing in Taipei? And then pulled out a copy of Pizza Czar that he had like all, dog-eared and stuff. And it was like just super awesome guy.
That's got to be weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But it's
like a fun way.
It's great, because I put a lot of work into it. I really tried to, it's one of the reasons I went with Abrams is because, they don't like do it for you. Like, you've got to do it yourself. And if you know the book that you want to make, that's what when I asked Joe about like Abrams, because I had worked with Clarkson Potter before, he said, yeah, Abrams lets you make the book you want to make. If you have the idea. So great company. And I knew what I wanted to do, and I always wanted to be a writer. So I was able to do that. I had really good help with editors, and Rebecca was super helpful, did a lot of the editing and organization and everything, and so it was a team effort.
How long does something like that take?
3 years.
Damn.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'm not sure I would have ever got it done.
Yeah. There's a fair amount of books that came out during that time because no one had any fucking thing else to do.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was in that sourdough phase for a while. People were really stoked. And then, I don't know. I just, like Instagram, it's, you know how it is. It's a lot. I found out about you because of your reels, which I thought were fucking hilarious.
I try to make fun of.
Dude, they're so good.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this guy
customers.
needs like a TV show. He is hilarious.
If anyone's listening, I would take that TV show and sell my restaurant today.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great. And then the podcast, I was like, okay, this is awesome. I loved how you really dive into the business side of it, you know, because I think that's really important for a lot of people. The real life part of owning a restaurant. It's not just, it's not all fun and games.
It's not about hydration and long fermentation.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
That goes on.
No, making in my book, I talk about the pillars, and like the first one's organization and cleanliness, second one's integrity and consistency, and the third one is delicious food. That's the easiest thing. And not only is it the easiest thing, it's not even required to be successful. Like, look at the industry leaders.
Yes, you're right.
What are the biggest food restaurant companies in the world? McDonald's, Subway. Like, it's almost like making good food is a impediment to success financially.
Yep.
So, like, that's why I talk about my clients. A lot of what I'm trying to do is find people who want to do 1 or 2 restaurants and want to, it's like, yeah, if you want to make $1 billion company, come up with an app or something. Opening a restaurant is like not the path to riches. And
yeah. I know. I make fun of and talk shit all the time, but like I wouldn't want it any other way,
Yeah.
I can be self-deprecating and it can come off a certain way, but it is a love and a passion, or I wouldn't be doing it.
No, it's a great business.
Yeah.
And I owned a restaurant before Roberta's. I had
The fry guy, right?
My French
Didn't
fry
you
shop.
have
I was the
15
French fry
different
king.
fries, dude.
Yeah.
The French fry king of Capitol Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, dude.
Yeah.
They still talk about you out there, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I remember Frites. I was fucking shit-faced at 3 a.m, and I had a big paper bag full of fries.
Yeah, I got like 7 different versions of these fries.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, but I also very much, remember the feeling of lightness and freedom of leaving it.
Yeah.
like of knowing in a very small restaurant, knowing that like if I don't show up to work, like I'm going to be paying someone else and I'm not going to make any money. Like my salary was dependent on me getting up in the morning, opening the keys and fucking turning on that fryer and going for it.
Yep.
You know, and you know, I think like when people have like 2 or 3 restaurants and they're like, you know, they dress in nice clothes and they like just show up to meetings and stuff like that, and they're coming up with ideas for their next restaurant. Like that seems fun.
That sounds sick.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
Do you know who the Pizza Pilgrims are? In
Yes.
the UK, you know those dudes?
Yeah, I met one of the owners when I did a project in London, Four Corners, and they came to like a big dinner.
They came to LA. We did a pizza crawl, and that's what I said. I said, if I could do anything in the restaurant industry, all I would do is come up with concepts, logos, branding.
That's what I'm saying. Those
and
guys
just give those
research trips.
Yeah, that's it.
We got to go to Italy again.
Yep.
And research this tomato.
We'll expense it.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
expense it.
Yeah, because he has what, like 12 or 13 or something.
The
of
Pizza
things?
Pilgrims?
Yeah.
27.
What?
27. They're the biggest pizza chain in the UK.
That's a lot of dough.
And and it is. I haven't had it. Matt went out there last year, and you ate multiple locations. It's sick pizza.
Yeah, they're really nice. I walked by a bunch of them when I was in London. I mean, this last trip I did to London was more about the London style thing.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Vincenzo's fucking awesome. Tom is the coolest dude.
Yeah.
And he's a painter too. You know, he does all these oil paintings, which I love. This is like my dad's paintings.
That's sick. Really?
Yeah. Did you see in Frank's apartment a giant portrait of a guy named Salvatore Giuliano?
No.
Oil painting?
No.
My dad did that for him. It's this Sicilian character. There's a book.
Damn, you and Chris Bianco with the fucking artist dads. So
Yeah.
that's why you're so good at drawing.
Yeah, so over there those are above the bathroom is a
Those are
self-portrait of my
beautiful.
dad. He painted in
Legend.
federal prison in Arizona.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that part of the story.
Yeah.
For drug dealing?
Well, marijuana.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll call it.
At that
is
time,
is
hey,
a
that was some
drug?
hard shit.
Yeah.
Not anymore. It's legal everywhere. You can buy mushrooms
I know.
in California now.
Yeah, I went to his trial in Seattle, and when the judge was sentencing him, he was like, you know, Frank, you know, you seem like a pretty good guy. You got a lot of good recommendations from letters from people. You know, we're in Seattle. Like,
Come on. Northwest, baby.
weed is
BC
legal
Bud.
here now.
BC Bud.
Yeah, he's like, the judge is like, I don't care about marijuana. It's legal here now. And
Yeah.
he's like, and it's probably going to be legal in the whole rest of the country soon. But you cannot take 90 tons of anything and just sneak it through the fucking border. We're trying to have a country here.
Yeah.
You know, like you
Yeah.
can't smuggle anything.
Yeah.
You couldn't smuggle
Teddy-
T-shirts.
Yeah. Beanie Babies.
Yeah, exactly. Louis Vuitton bags.
Mm-hmm.
It's a serious crime.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad, dude. But you know, he's out now. He's on the farm. He's doing good. Sends me fennel pollen. But yeah, the artist, I don't know. It's like it's the same. It's something about that, I guess. There's a theme there, you know.
Yeah.
Art. It's restaurant business is kind of like I mean, they call it the culinary arts.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's a creative industry, attracting creative people, doing creative things.
Well, you definitely, I think, have an angle of that creativity, that romance that you take to probably every job.
Yeah, I mean, I look at everything as like, you know, like a like an artistic kind of endeavor, you know, a creative project. But yeah, I mean, going back to Frank's question, why don't I have my own? I mean, I keep pushing the goal of what I want to do it, maybe to make it harder for myself. Some subtext there.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to own a building before I open a restaurant.
Well, I mean, that's a very smart move.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the places that are multi-generational, that have been around for a long time, you know, they own the building. They own the real estate. Luigi's, Park Slope, you know, he owns the building. You know, if that place, like, think of all the places that went out of business where they put their heart and soul into it, and then their 10-year lease comes up and they get a new renewal, and it's like, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just working for the landlord, you know?
Yeah, and that's the last thing you want.
Landlord. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who calls themselves a lord in their job title? You know, like a little like.
Well, I'm talking to the pizza czar, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah, which is a title I did not come up with, and I'm not a fan of. I would hate me too if he's called himself the what a fucking dick.
Dude, no way, dude. I think fucking anyone who has a problem with that should take a look in the mirror. You have to project things like that. It's not like you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then for you to have to feel bad about it, it's like, yeah, dude, I'm the pizza czar. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, they gave me that title because, you know, I mean, we had the restaurant, we had the 3 mobile pizza ovens, we were doing weddings, we were doing pop-ups, we were doing music festivals. I was negotiating contracts to music festivals. I was driving the truck. I was designing the frozen pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was doing, it was a, you know, I really had a lot of hats that I was wearing. And like, you know, it's a word in the English language that you give to someone who is required to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You know, I like that it's derived from Caesar.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It ties back to my love of Roman history and all that stuff.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad someone does.
I love people that
You got to be a self-promoter, though, on some level, right?
Of course, dude. The International Pizza Consult, like all these things have a ring to it. It's called creativity.
Yeah.
And it just, I think.
Stromboli Research Institute.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you have, I just think that when you are doing something or saying something and people don't like it, you're doing something.
Yeah.
You're doing something right.
Well, I must be doing a lot of shit right.
Well, hey, you're living rent free in people's heads, dude. and you, no problem to you.
Okay, yeah, no, we're doing good over here. Yeah, I mean,
Back to the
at the end of the day, you know, I've got my family, you know, my wife and my kids, and I've got my real friends, which I can count on one hand, and that. Those are whether you think you have more real friends than that. It doesn't make a difference of who like real friends are.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's human nature. You're only going to have enough for maybe 1 or 2 hands.
Especially the older you get when you have a family. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all normal.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's so many great people in the city, in the business. You know, I mean, I love the guys from Lindustry. Sal from Lucia's fucking awesome. Frank from Mama 2 is one of the best guys ever. You know, and I get to go around and see them and say hi, and we're all good. And like, you know, Dave from Weeded. Like, I mean, there's so many great people in this city. And then LA, doing that tour. You know, Tommy and like all those people.
Zach from Prime.
Zach.
Zach
is the best.
Yeah,
I love Zach.
He's a scholar and a gentleman.
He is one of the best guys in the business, and he's great. And he's one of the people I would count as one of my real friends for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm, you know, like fucking London, met some really great people. The Dobros in Ireland. Oh, maybe I have more friends than I think.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I do want to say I've never actually thought about a landlord. It is my landlord.
Yeah,
like
dude.
that's pretty fucking crazy.
It's painful to say every time.
That's like people stopped using the term master bedroom too. You know,
yeah, but somehow landlord was never picked up on. Yeah. Maybe because they have a giant lobby. Like, you know, I don't know.
It is bizarre.
This whole city is essentially
Lord.
run by landlords, you know, and real estate developers.
Yeah.
But like, luckily, I have a great landlord here. He's one of the best guys. He's amazing, and he lives between here and Lisbon. He actually came to the opening night of my client in Lisbon.
Oh, that's cool.
Lupita, it's really cool. He's just, I mean, like he's an international man of mystery, you know?
I love it.
Yeah. Chinese guy from Africa, speaks Portuguese, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, English. Fucking rad dude.
Sounds sick.
Yeah, and I just make a pizza, and you know we get to live in this nice little apartment here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up with a segment called Over Under.
Okay.
Okay. Overrated or underrated? I'm gonna give you the word. You're gonna tell me if you think it's overrated or underrated.
Okay.
Okay. Burrata.
Overrated.
Okay. Hot honey.
Overrated.
Long fermentation.
Overrated. I mean,
High hydration.
overrated.
Dave Portnoy reviews.
I mean, can we just not have him rated? I mean, I try to pretend like he doesn't exist.
It's so hard in this community. I wish I could too, but the
Yeah.
fact that he is talked about on so many levels in a lot of these episodes, and because there's a whole faction of pizzeria owners that like they would die for him.
Yeah, I mean, he does great things for people and stuff, but just not my bag. you know?
Okay. Underrated. Overrated.
Overrated.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
The Pizza Expo.
I think the Pizza Expo is great. So I don't know if it's overrated or underrated, but I'll say, I mean, I've done everyone's overrated, so I'll say underrated because it is really great. Everyone should go.
Okay. That's all I got.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You think I think that's it.
No, cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, all those.
Good.
I could talk for a lot about all those things.
Let's do this. One last one. Your branding or logo, is that an overrated thing or underrated thing?
It's overrated.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look at Lindustry. You can barely pronounce it or spell it.
Well said.
You know, and it's like he inherited that. Like he didn't even he bought it's like, you know, he wasn't thinking about it as something that he really needed to focus on and spend the money to change the name on the front. He's just like, whatever, this is the name, I'm going with it.
He bought that property or that restaurant? Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I've heard so many people say, I don't even like saying it because I know I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah.
L'Industria.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like if you had like a marketing guru and that you told them that was your name for your pizzeria, they would be like, we got to go back to the drawing board. But number one, I mean, they're the undisputed kings right now of New York.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I mean, look at Roberta's. They just like went up. The first few years, everyone was like Roberto's. It's like, no, that's like some red sauce joint in Times Square. Roberta's, it's like, you know, and then just like Mauro went up on a stool and painted the logo up there. Like I said, you got to look like.
I mean, that's ingrained in everyone's head now.
You got to look like you need someone to evangelize for you. You need someone to root for you. You know?
Yeah.
You can't look like a chain with your first spot. That's my last little nugget. Let's make some pizza.
All right, dude. Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much.